Hi folks, it's Moz here, and today I'm going to go through the saga of Jaguar-gate from FX. Yes, they released a vintage classic version of their Jaguar GR1, but there was a catch. In fact, in the box wasn't a Jaguar GR1. Yes, bit of a boo-boo from Airfix, but I think the way they've handled this situation has been very, very good. So we're going to have a little look through the history of this 1/72nd scale Jaguar and just see when it was tooled, when it was changed and changed again, and the issue that happened whilst Airfix wanted to re-release this kit and place it into their vintage classic range, while the plastic in the box is not the kit that's on the box. And it is quite a really interesting history of this Jaguar GR1, and it will involve the situation of when they were owned by Bordens and the Hella and the Humbrol kind of matchup, which you can see if you want to watch the history of the ownership of Airfix. I will link it here so you can go and watch it, or was it here? One of the two. So yeah, I'll leave a link to that. But firstly, I just want to jump on Scalemates and go through what I believe happened with this tooling. Again, we're going to use the almanac of everything scale modeling and jump on Scalemates, where we can see here that Airfix released this in a red stripe box, we call it, because it has the red stripe on the corner of the box there, as the BAC Jaguar number 391 in 1/72nd scale. And looking through the timeline, we can see that in 1970 this was a fresh tool. Now they re-released this kit back in 1975, and on Scalemates they have put it down as new parts, which I do not agree with. So you can see that the box art is exactly the same as it was in 1970. Just got the fresh Airfix logo, which we now call Type 4. But on this timeline, you have this 1978 boxing. And this is the point where I believe the Jaguar was from prototype in its molding, became the GR1 that Airfix wanted to release this time around in their vintage classic. And firstly, we'll look at the box art, and just to show you the differences between that original prototype release from 1970 and the release from 1978. And in fact, here's the box here, and it has new on it, which is why I think this is the actual difference between the prototype and the one that Airfix would like to release. So on this box art, you can see the Jaguar has the new shaped nose, which is glazed at the front, and then on the rear of the tail it has their radar warning system, I believe it's called. And those are the changes. Now if you go back to the original boxing from 1970 and 1975, the box art looks exactly the same, but you can see that the nose is the prototype version, and so is the fin at the back, the tail. That's what was changed on the box art. Plus you have extra decal schemes on this one, so you can see that there's like a yellow shield at the beginning there, just at the front of the nose, and on top of the nose you've got like a black section. So there was a different scheme, but ultimately this was like what I would call a 1970s Photoshop of the box arts. And then you can see that through the 70s, 80s, they were basically reboxed as this Jaguar GR1 until you get to 1993. Now, during this time, Airfix was bought from what we know as MPC or General Mills by Borden, and they shoved it under their Humbrol brand, because Borden had two companies. There was the Heller company, and you also had the Humbrol company, and Airfix was put under the Humbrol branding at that time. But the tooling was manufactured in the Heller factory, and it wasn't rare that Heller and Airfix would swap toolings and rebox their kits in their own colours. But this was a little bit different in 1993, because it looks like Heller had repurposed that tooling by releasing this Jaguar A. And if you look at the box art, you can see that the nose is somewhat similar to the prototype version, but just has a couple of bumps underneath. And you also have the radar slip missing from the tail, and different weapons, and a new scheme. And that was the release from Heller. But Airfix did continue to release the GR1. They released it in 1995, all the way up until their last release of this kit, which was the GR3, and it came with weapons for on top of the wing as well as underneath. And that was the last time Airfix released that tooling. But Heller released, I believe, in 2005 and in 2006 that Jaguar A variant. And then finally, we believe it was 2006, also as a model set with the paints and the glues. And as again, that nose is completely different to the GR1. Then Airfix decided this year to release this into their vintage classic range. So they gave India a ring and said, "Hi, have you got our tool in there for the Jaguar?" And they said, "Yes, we do." And off they went, and they did test shots of that tooling and then sent it to Airfix. They probably checked it off, got some decals made similar or very close match to the original ones from 1978, and released it as a vintage classic. And lo and behold, what they got from India was that Jaguar A variant, not the GR1. There is no blame here for India. When they sent those test shots off, Airfix agreed that that was what they wanted, and they put in the box exactly what was in that tooling. Now, this begs the question, so you can ask yourself the question, how did Airfix get this so wrong? And I think, there wasn't things in place to check properly that tooling and what they were going to get in the plastic. And I believe Airfix have put their hands up and said, we've dropped the bollock here, and they have put things into place to rectify the situation, which I will go through after. But I want to look at the boxes first, right? I've got the original 1978 release, which I've grabbed from the attic, which is when they first released that GR1 tooling. I've also got the vintage classic one here, which I'll look through. But you can also look on eBay and see how the noses and the nose and the tail looked from that original 1970 release, because there has been some sold on there, and you can see the pictures of the plastic inside the box. But let's jump onto the workbench now and have a quick look at the fuselage parts, and we'll go through the differences and how I can see this error could have been made, because it wasn't a different tool. They used the exact same tool, but what they can do, which I believe is what happened over the lifespan of this tooling, you could add inserts into specific places of that tooling to change the look of the fuselage. But everything else in the box is exactly the same. The wheels, the weaponry is all the same in that box. The only difference is those little extras on the fuselage. Let's jump on the workbench now. Let's have a look at it. So, first off, this is my version of the Sepecat Jaguar, and you can see it has new in the corner. This 1978, obviously, and you can see there at on the box art, you can see the difference. You've got that nose, you've got a few extra schemes there, new extras for the scheme, and you have new on the top here. So yeah, basically this is what you would have got in 1978. So I lift up the box, and then all I'm going to do is just quickly show you this is what the sprues were like. You can see, you know, everything's pretty much box standard. You've got weaponry, drop tanks or whatever. You've got the pilot seat there. There's the wheels. All the numbers pretty much correspond. There's your wings, which would have been attached to this sprue here. As I say, very little difference there. This one came with a stand. Put that back in the Vintage Classics Airfix. And then you also have this sprue here, which is like the engines, the intakes, exhaust, you know, everything's pretty much the same. There's a few little bits of, you've got the canopy glass there. As you get that to focus in, so you can see the canopy glass. There's the canopy glass. You know, all bog standard in this kit. And then you have these fuselage halves here. And I think, if I'm right, that is the decal sheet. There you are. See that? There's your shield there. Warnings, do not touch, do not pass go if you collect 200 on that one, I think it is. But yeah, so that's really where it is. But I'm just going to take out this half of the fuselage because I think that's most important. Put the rest back in its box. And then we have this one here, which is the latest release from the Vintage Classic range. Oh, by the way, you can see this here. It does have 1977 plumbed in there, so you can just see that. Yeah, so this is the 1977 version of the Sepecat Jaguar. So I lift this up, obviously, put to one side. The decal sheet has been redesigned, but basically the same as the 1978 release. Okay, and then, like I was saying, basically everything on here is correct. Is exactly the same. There's all the weaponry on here. You can see all that. So yeah, and even the glass is the same as well. Okay, so that's pretty much done and dusted. All right. So let's get the fuselage halves out so we can have a good look at this. Now, you can see in here that they've actually erased or scrubbed out or done something to cover up the Airfix 1977. Let's turn it, let's put it the right way around, shall we? The 1977, it doesn't say Airfix in there, it's been scrubbed out, okay? And you can clearly see that on the tooling. And then you can see here, I'll turn this around and get in nice and close. Camera in, and just flick this light up a little bit. There you go, it's better. You can see that the difference between them on this part of the fuselage is very, very minimal, as in, because it does have the fin on the back, so you're absolutely fine with that. But everything is exactly the same, apart from here, where the nose, if I can get it to zoom in correctly, we can have a look at the noses. You can see that the noses are different. Okay, you see the difference in the nose? So this one's the 1978 release and this one is the Airfix release. The nose is very different on camera. Okay, you've got that, you've got, I can't think what it's called now, but I presume it's some sort of weapon system there. So the pitot tube will come out the front. So you can see it's very flat. Okay. Happy with that? Cool. So yeah, that is the difference on that. And then if we get into this one here, you can see that the tail is different. Zoom in again. Let's get it zoomed in. There you go. The tail is different. There you go. So you've got the warning there, and you've also got nothing here. But this is what I'm saying, that I think the tooling has inserts, because you can see, let me get cocktail stick, there is a line just there, and I believe that's where the insert would go. So the tooling will come up to here and across, and then there's an insert that can change the top of these tail. So if I get in close and zoom in, so let's get zoomed in, there you go, nice and zoomed in. Can you see? You'd have to clean that off. There's like a little bit of flash. If I turn it over and come close that way, you can see it there. Okay, that's it. But on here, which is the 1978 release, you can just about see it there. See it there? If I run I can feel it with a cocktail stick. Turn it over. It's a bit more clearer there. Can you see it there? I think that's where the tooling, you could put an insert in to change the top. And with here, you can't see it so much because it's actually blended in quite well. I think the nose comes to about there. Yeah. I think that's where the nose is. You can't see it on the inside, but on this one here, you most certainly can. Can you see that? I think that's where the insert is supposed to go in to change the nose. There it is. You can actually feel it. Boom, boom. Okay, so that's what it is. It just needs the different inserts to change this from a variant, to change this from the variant A, which this one is, to the GR1 variant. That's the difference. Those are the main differences on the fuselage, because that's the difference I can see really. If you look in the parts, you look there, that, if I bring it over to the camera, okay, that part there is the nose for the GR1. That's the nose. That nose is correct for the GR1. That's basically it. And looking on eBay, you can see what the actual original tooling from 1970 is like by the fuselage and the nose. In this picture here, that the nose is very much pointed to that one pitot tube that goes on the front, which is the original prototype version. Which then comes to, what is Airfix doing about this whole saga? Well, to be honest with you, there is nothing they can do about this kit at the moment. Okay, they realized that it's the wrong plastic in the box, so all they can really do is do what they've done now, which I think is the best way forward. They are going to give a full refund to the bank account of anyone that has bought this kit off their website, and those who have bought from that website would have received this email basically saying that it was an unexpected packaging error and the wrong item is being included, and they sincerely apologize for this mistake, and they say that errors are rare, deeply regrettable, and they would like to make this right. You'll keep your Hornby hobby point for this kit. You'll get them. They don't go anywhere. They're basically there for you. And they've also given a 15% off discount code for those who want to purchase a kit from the website, 15% off. Okay, so you keep your money, you keep the kit, you keep your hobby points rewards that you've got, and you also get a 50% off a model kit. So it's a win-win-win-win with this one, except if you did want to build that GR1. All right. Now, if you've bought it from a model shop, firstly, if you don't want to keep it, you can take it back for a full refund, because Airfix have credited all of the model shops that have bought this kit to sell a credit on their account. So it's up to them to give you your money back, and if you so wish, you can send it back for a full refund. If you bought it from Amazon, just send it back, say this is the wrong model, and they'll refund you. Okay, but what about the rest of these kits? So Airfix has stated there is no after sales care for these boxes, so if you do buy one and you keep it, you can't go back to them and say there's a part missing. You either just send the kit back, or or just accept the refund, if you know what I mean, and just keep it in your stash. If I was you, I've got two. I'm going to keep the other one here completely sealed, because I think in a few years it might be worth a bit of money. Who knows? You know, these things. So yeah, keep that. Or you can build it. I think you can build it as an A. I'm sure you can. With that nose. Yeah, you build it as the A variant. You know, just find some decals that go in line with that variant. Airfix do want to release this product. They said they will. So I say they will. They will try to get the correct tooling together. They think that the inserts are still out there somewhere, and they will do their best to fix it. But you can see what happened, that, you know, Hella used that tooling last and didn't put the correct inserts back in, the buggers. And India wouldn't have known this, so there should be lasers pointed at India on this. This is purely Airfix put their hands up and say, look, we've done wrong. And I think what they've done with the, you know, trying to you know, give back the money, so end up with basically a free kit at the end, is the right way forwards. And also you can go on their website and purchase another kit. So yeah, all this, lot of information there, and I hope I've explained it all. Yeah, and Airfix have put their hands up and said we are sorry, and they've apologized, and they've offered these incentives. And you know, if you have bought them from the website, you get to keep the kit, or if you want to take it back to the model shop, take it back to the model shop. But I don't think it's wise of a model shop to sell it on. I think they can do if they want. I don't think it's advised to, but they have been credited for those models, so they can do what they like with them, really. But yeah, I think overall it's a bit of a mess, this Jaguar-gate, but we hope that now this will put, you know, this could be put behind, and then hopefully maybe next year we will finally have this Sepecat Jaguar in the Vintage Classic range, if Airfix can source the inserts to change it from an A back to the GR1. Or they could just finally release the Jaguar in 1/72 scale like they've done with the 148. You know, who knows what they're going to do with that 1/72 one, but there you are. Well, anyway, a lot of information in this video. I know I've been a little bit bitty and everything else trying to get it all together. I will be talking about this on Airfix and Chill on Monday. If I've released this video after Monday's Airfix and Chill, I will link to Airfix and Chill in the description, so you can watch us talk about it from Monday. So if you do want to watch the chat that we're going to have, because what day is it today? It's Sunday today. What we're going to have on Monday, then you can see us discuss it there. All right, I'll put a link in the description. And that's it from me. If you like the video, click like. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, ring that bell, click all to be notified when I release a new video. Any questions, any comments, leave them in the box below, because I do reply. Huge shout out to my channel members that help me financially with this channel. If you'd like to become a channel member, please click join below. Select which memberships here you so wish. We do have a live stream every Tuesday where we work off the bench and talk about scale modelling, and it's like just access for channel members only. If you want to be part of that, again, please click join below. I've just done a video about the Airfix mystery bundles. If you want to go and watch that, it'll be in one of the four corners with other videos you can watch on my channel. And until next time, have a great week.